Hey, welcome. So today we're going to talk about the spaces we spend almost all of our time in. Our homes, our offices. We live our lives inside these walls, but how often do we actually stop and think about how they might be affecting us? Turns out, it's a lot more than you might think. Take a look at this number, 90%. That's a huge figure, right? Well, that's the average amount of time that research shows we spend indoors. Let that sink in. That's like 22 hours of every single day. When you put it that way, the quality of the space we're in, well, it suddenly becomes one of the biggest health factors in our entire lives. And really, that leads us right to the big question we're tackling today. How healthy are your walls? We're not just talking about having a roof over your head, we're asking if the space you're in right now is actively supporting your well-being, or maybe, just maybe, it's quietly working against it.
Okay, so let's get on the same page about what we even mean by a healthy space. This isn't just about cleaning up or having a nice-looking room. We're talking about a pretty fundamental shift in how we approach the design of our indoor world.
The term for this is health-centric indoor environments, and the key word here is philosophy. It's an intentional way of thinking. See, a truly healthy space doesn't just happen by accident. It's all about making conscious choices, from the materials you use to the layout of the room, all with one goal: to actively make the people inside healthier and happier.
And it's really about the whole package. We're trying to create spaces that are designed to boost not only our physical health, things like having clean air to breathe, but our mental well-being too. Things like lowering stress, helping us focus. It's all connected.
So, how do we actually do this? Well, the first big pillar is all about reconnecting with nature. If we're going to spend 90% of our lives inside, it makes sense that we should probably try to bring some of the best parts of the outside world in with us, right? And what's so great is that some of these strategies are incredibly simple. First, natural ventilation. We're literally just talking about opening a window. Letting fresh air move through a space is often way better than just relying on a sealed-up AC system. Second, daylighting. This just means maximizing the natural sunlight that comes in, which does wonders for our mood and helps regulate our internal body clocks. And finally, you've got biophilic design. It's a fancy term for a simple idea, bringing actual elements of nature, like plants, wood grains, maybe a small water feature, into our spaces to help us feel calmer and less stressed. All right, our next pillar is about something invisible, but absolutely crucial: the air we breathe. A lot of people are surprised to learn that indoor air can actually be way more polluted than outdoor air, often filled with all sorts of chemicals from the things we bring into our own homes. So, where does this pollution come from? Well, a big source is common paints and building materials that release something called VOCs. Those are the fumes you smell from new furniture or carpet. The fix? It's pretty straightforward. You can choose non-toxic paints and low VOC materials. And for the stale, trapped air we often find in buildings, especially older ones, high-quality air purification systems can make a massive difference. Now, when you start putting these two ideas together, connecting with the natural world and making sure our air is clean, you start to realize something. You're not just decorating a space anymore. You are actively designing your own well-being. Every single choice, from the paint on the wall to the placement of a window, becomes an opportunity to boost your health. And this is really the key takeaway from all of this. Just think about that for a second. We usually think of healthcare as something that happens after we get sick. You go to a doctor, you get medicine, but what if the very walls around us could be a form of preventative healthcare? What if our homes and our offices could be our first line of defense in staying healthy for the long haul? It kind of leaves us with this really fascinating, provocative thought, doesn't it? As we learn more and more about this deep connection between our environment and our health, you have to wonder, is the future of healthcare not just in a clinic, but maybe in architecture itself? Could architects and designers one day be seen as just as important to our well-being as our doctors are? Definitely something to think about.